The message came through the Galactic Emergency Channel at midnight Council Standard Time. The voice was weak, breaking with static and fear. "This is Theta 7 mining colony. We are under attack. Please, anyone, help us." Ambassador On stood in the council chamber, his forearms trembling as he played the recording again. Around him, representatives from 40 species watched in silence. They had heard distress calls before, but this one was different. There were gentle creatures, philosophers and artists who had never hurt anyone. Their colony on Theta 7 was small, peaceful, focused on mining rare minerals for medical equipment. "The Razor Syndicate has taken the colony," On said. His voice was tired. "They have killed 23 civilians. They are forcing the others to work in the mines. Our peacekeeping forces are 3 weeks away." A representative stood up, her scales turning dark blue with anger. 3 weeks. They will all be dead by then." "What do you suggest?" On asked. "We have sent diplomatic messages. The pirates ignore us. We have offered payment for the hostages. They laughed and killed 3 more as a response." The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew the truth. The council was good at talking, good at making laws, good at peaceful solutions. But when violence came, they were helpless. Their military was designed to look impressive, not to fight. Most council species came from safe worlds where predators were small and weather was mild. The idea of real combat terrified them. "There is one option," On said slowly. He touched a console and a holographic display appeared. It showed a blue and green planet, beautiful and deadly. Earth. The chamber erupted in noise. Some representatives shouted in fear, others in anger. Earth was the discovery, so dangerous that most species could not believe anything intelligent had evolved there. The humans had only been part of the galactic community for 2 years, and already they had a reputation. "Absolutely not," a delegate said. "Humans are barbarians. They evolved alongside creatures that could kill them in seconds. Their planet has storms that could destroy our cities. They still have weapons capable of destroying their own world." "Exactly," On said quietly. "They know violence, they understand it, they might be our only hope." The debate went on for hours. Finally, a vote was called. By a margin of 3 votes, the council agreed to send a message to Earth. On wrote it carefully, including specific instructions about minimal casualties and proportional response. He sent it with little hope of a quick reply. Earth's response came in 4 hours. Message received, deploying relief force. Read the mission briefing on the bridge of the Righteous Fury. The small corvette was cutting through space at maximum speed, heading toward Theta 7. Around him, his crew worked in silence, their faces hard. 400 pirates, said from the tactical station. She was scanning the data feeds, her fingers moving quickly across the controls. 3 warships in orbit, heavy weapons on the surface. They have fortified positions around the mining complex. Hostages asked. 217 civilians, answered from the intelligence station. 43 confirmed dead. The pirates are using them as slave labor in the mines. Conditions are terrible. Many are sick or injured. Felt something cold settle in his chest. He had read the full report, seen the video files the pirates had sent to the council as threats. Children executed to make a point. Adults beaten for working too slowly. They were not built for violence. Their fragile bodies broke easily. Their psychology could not handle aggression. They were perfect victims. "What are the council's rules of engagement?" asked from the weapons console. His tone suggested he already knew the answer. "Minimal casualties, proportional response, preserve life where possible, attempt negotiation first, close the file without reading the rest. We will follow our own protocols." Looked up from the medical station, the children are our priority, said. Along with all the other hostages, everything else is secondary. The crew understood. They were United Earth Defense Force, trained for the worst situations their deadly planet could create. They had fought terrorists in collapsed cities. They had rescued civilians from war zones where the temperature could kill in minutes. They had dealt with pirates in the asteroid belts where mercy meant death. Estimated arrival in 6 hours, reported. The pirate flagship is hailing all approaching vessels. They are warning everyone to stay away or face destruction. Let them talk, said. We will answer when we are ready. In the armory, the crew prepared their equipment. Powered armor, tested and maintained. Weapons loaded with ammunition designed for shipboarding and urban combat. Medical supplies for treating civilians. Breaching charges for locked doors. Every piece of gear had been used before in real situations against real enemies. One was the youngest of the crew, only 23 years old, but he checked his rifle with the calm confidence of someone much older. On Earth, you grew up fast or you did not grow up at all. He had been born in the megacity ruins after the water wars. Violence was not foreign to him. Sung, the heavy weapons specialist, was loading his support gun when spoke. Think the council will complain. They always complain, Sung said. They want us to solve their problems but also want us to do it their way. Cannot have both. They called for help, said, sealing her medical pack. They will get what that means. Came down to the armory and pulled his own armor from the rack. The crew watched him, waiting. He was not a man who gave speeches. He believed in actions, not words. They asked for help, he said simply. We are going to help them. The pirates will have one chance to surrender. If they do not take it, we remove them. No hesitation. No second chances. These people have suffered enough. What about the council observers? Asked. They will be watching everything. Let them watch, said. Maybe they will learn something. The righteous fury dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Theta 7 system. Immediately, sensors picked up the pirate ships. The flagship, Severed Claw, was massive, 3 times the size of the human corvette. 2 escort ships flanked it, their weapons powered and ready. A transmission came through. The face that appeared on the screen was a species known for aggression and strength. The pirate commander smiled with too many teeth. A human ship, he said, his voice full of amusement. I have heard of your kind, who think they are strong. Turn around, little ship, or I will add your crew to my collection. Studied the pirate captain for a moment. He saw the arrogance, the certainty that he was in control, had fought council peacekeepers before. They always talked first, always tried to negotiate, always gave warnings. Commander, said quietly, I have firing solutions on all 3 ships. Kept his eyes on. This is commander of the United Earth Defense Force. You have committed acts of piracy, murder, and enslavement against the people. You will release all hostages immediately and surrender yourself and your crew for justice. Laughed, or what? You will file a complaint with the council. I have heard their complaints before. They mean nothing. We are not the council, said. Then he closed the transmission. He said calmly, weapons free. Remove the escorts first. Disable the flagship. I want alive. Yes, Commander said. Her fingers moved across the controls. Firing. The righteous fury spoke with and missiles. The pirate escorts never had a chance to respond. They simply ceased to exist, transformed into expanding clouds of debris. The flagship tried to turn, tried to bring weapons to bear, but human targeting systems were designed to track fighter craft in Earth's cluttered orbit. A massive pirate ship was easy. Missiles tore through the Severed Claw's engines. Rounds punctured the weapon systems. In 18 seconds, the flagship was dead in space, life support failing, crews scrambling for escape pods. Dispatch boarding teams to secure, ordered. Then prepare for surface deployment. It is time to free the hostages. The crew moved to their positions. Below them, on Theta 7, 400 pirates had no idea what was coming. They thought they were safe, protected by their numbers and their brutality. They were about to meet humanity. The pirate base on Theta 7 was built around the mining complex like a fortress. Guard towers watched the perimeter. Heavy weapons pointed at the sky. Inside, 217 worked in chains, their thin bodies bent under the weight of tools and ore. Cran, the ground commander, was drinking stolen wine when the alarm started screaming. He grabbed his communicator and heard only static. The orbital ships were not responding. He ran to the command center where his officers were staring at monitors in confusion. "What is happening?" Cran demanded. "The ships," one officer said, his voice shaking. "They are gone, all three of them. Something destroyed them in seconds." "Impossible," Cran said, "but the monitors showed only debris. Who did this? Council forces." "A single human ship," another officer reported. "Small corvette, it is still in orbit." Cran felt his blood run cold. He had heard stories about humans, whispered tales from other pirate groups, who did not follow the rules, warriors who did not know when to stop. He had dismissed the stories as exaggeration. "One ship cannot threaten us," he said, trying to sound confident. "We have 400 fighters, heavy weapons, fortified positions. Even humans cannot defeat those numbers." The sky above the base suddenly lit up with fire. A human was coming down, not slowly and carefully like council transports, but fast and hard like a meteor. The pirates opened fire with everything they had. Missiles and plasma cannons all targeted the descending ship. The twisted and turned, avoiding most of the fire. The hits it took seemed to do nothing. Then, at 500 meters above the ground, the doors opened and figures jumped out. Powered armor, Cran realized with growing horror. The humans were dropping in powered armor, falling like bombs toward the base. He screamed orders to his troops, telling them to prepare for ground assault. "Hit the ground first." His armor absorbed the impact, and before the dust had settled, he was running toward the main barracks. The pirates fired at him, their weapons sparking off his shields. He did not slow down. He reached the building, placed charges on the supports, and activated them. The explosion was massive. The barracks, where 200 pirates had been sleeping, simply ceased to exist. The shockwave knocked down nearby structures and threw debris across the compound. "East Tower neutralized," reported calmly over the comm, moving to the vehicle depot. One landed near the slave quarters where were kept in cages. Pirates were running toward him, firing wildly. He dropped 3 with precise shots, then moved forward. His armor sensors showed him everything: enemy positions, friendly locations, civilian markers. It was like having eyes everywhere. A pirate tried to ambush him from behind. One's armor alerted him, and he turned and fired without looking. The pirate fell. One continued toward the cages, where frightened were huddled together. "Stay down," he told them in their language. The translation software made his voice sound calm and gentle despite the chaos around them. "We are here to help. Stay in the cages where you are safe. We will come back for you." Landed on the command center roof and began cutting through with a plasma torch. Inside, Cran and his officers were trying to coordinate the defense, but it was falling apart. The humans were not fighting like the council peacekeepers. They did not take cover. They did not call for surrender. They just moved forward, eliminating everything in their path. The roof exploded inward and dropped through. She shot 4 officers before they could reach their weapons. Cran lunged at her with a blade, but she simply stepped aside and broke his arm with a casual movement. That was strong, much stronger than a human naturally, but's powered armor made her stronger. "Command center secure," she reported. "Commander, I have their communication system, patching you through." His voice came over every speaker in the base. "Attention all pirates, you are surrounded. Drop your weapons and surrender immediately. This is your only warning." For a moment the fighting paused. The pirates looked at each other, confused. Only 7 minutes had passed since the humans landed. Already the barracks were destroyed, the command center captured, the guard towers silent. Half their forces were dead or wounded. Then one pirate fired at Sung, who was advancing toward the mining entrance. The shot bounced off the heavy armor. Sung did not even pause. He raised his support gun and returned fire. The stream of rounds tore through the pirate's cover and everything behind it. The fighting resumed with desperate intensity, but it was not a battle anymore. It was an extermination. Moved through the chaos with practiced efficiency. She was a medic, trained to save lives, but she was also a human from Earth. She understood triage in combat. The children locked in the punishment cells were her priority. Everything else could wait. She found the cells in the deepest part of the complex. 3 pirates were guarding them. They saw her coming and raised their weapons, shot them without hesitation. In her medical training, she had learned to value all life. In her combat training, she had learned that some threats must be removed to protect the innocent. The children inside the cells were crying, their large eyes filled with terror. Removed her helmet so they could see her face. "It is okay," she said softly. I am a doctor. We are taking you home." One child, barely able to stand, reached through the bars. "The bad ones." "Being dealt with," said. She broke the locks and began examining the children for injuries. 2 had broken bones. All were dehydrated and malnourished. She started administering aid while keeping her rifle close. Outside had reached the vehicle depot. The pirates had heavy tanks and armored transports. They were trying to get them started to use them against the humans. Set charges on the fuel depot and the ammunition storage. Then he calmly walked away. The explosion was so large that it shook the entire base. Fire and debris reached hundreds of meters into the sky. The vehicles, the fuel, the ammunition, all of it was gone. The pirates' last hope of heavy support disappeared in the blast. Sung and One were systematically clearing the mining complex. The pirates had fortified positions inside, planning to use the workers as shields. But the humans moved too fast, their armor sensors showing them exactly where everyone was. They used breaching charges and grenades to clear rooms before the pirates could react. A pirate commander tried to grab a worker to use as a hostage. One shot him in the leg, then in the arm, dropping him without killing him. "Hostage situation neutralized," he reported. 20 more civilians secured. By the time landed with the second wave, the fighting was almost over. Bodies lay everywhere. Fires burned across the base. Of the 400 pirates, less than 50 were still alive, and most of them were wounded. They huddled together in the main square, surrounded by humans in armor that made them look like machines of war. Was brought down from orbit in restraints. His flagship had been boarded, his crew captured. He looked at the destroyed base with disbelief. This was not possible. He had fought Council peacekeepers dozens of times. They took days to secure a position. The humans had done it in 2 hours. Walked through the square examining the captured pirates. They looked terrified. Good, they should be. "Is anyone hurt?" he asked over the comm. "They have injuries," she reported. "Malnutrition, dehydration, broken bones. 3 are critical. I need to get them to the ship's medical bay immediately." "Prepare transport," ordered. "Priority to injured civilians." He turned to the captured pirates. "You were given a chance to surrender. You chose to fight. Many of your crew are dead because of that choice." One pirate, bleeding from a wound in his side, spat at its feet. "The Council will punish you for this. You killed without mercy. You are war criminals." Looked at him for a long moment. "We are not the ones who enslaved children. We are not the ones who executed civilians for entertainment. We are the people who ended you." He walked away, toward where they were being gathered. They looked at the humans with a mixture of fear and awe. These armored giants had destroyed their tormentors in hours. Violence on a scale the gentle could not comprehend. A elder approached carefully. "You are the humans, the ones from the—" "We are," said. He removed his helmet, showing his face. Human faces could be frightening to species not used to forward-facing eyes and teeth designed for meat. But he wanted them to see him as a person, not just a weapon. "I am Commander. We came because you asked for help. You killed so many, the elder said quietly. Yes, said, he would not apologize for it. They hurt your people, they killed your children, they would have killed more. We stopped them. The elder was silent for a moment, then he nodded slowly. Thank you. Looked up at the sky where the righteous fury was orbiting. Somewhere out there, council observers were watching everything, recording everything. They would not be happy with how this operation had gone. He did not care. They were safe, that was all that mattered. The council observer drones arrived 6 hours after the fighting ended. They flew over the base, recording everything. The destroyed buildings, the bodies, the captured pirates, the freed. Ambassador On watched the feeds from his office, his 4 arms trembling with shock. They killed hundreds, his assistant whispered. The humans just. They did not even try to capture them. On pressed a button to contact the righteous fury. His face appeared on the screen, calm and unbothered by the destruction below. Commander, On said, struggling to keep his voice steady. The council sent specific guidelines, minimal casualties, proportional response. You were supposed to negotiate first. We did negotiate, said. We told them to surrender, they fired on us instead. The casualties are minimal. Every hostage survived. That is what minimal casualties means. You killed over 300 pirates. Yes, said simply. Would you have preferred we let them continue killing? Should we have asked them politely to stop? On felt anger rising. There are rules of war, procedures. You cannot just execute prisoners. We have not executed any prisoners, said. The pirates who surrendered are alive. The ones who fought died in combat. That is how war works. The transmission ended. On sat in his office feeling lost. He had expected the humans to be more controlled, but they fought like wild animals. No, that was not fair. Animals were not that efficient. The humans fought like machines designed specifically for killing. On Theta 7, worked in the makeshift medical center. The children were responding to treatment, but they would need time to heal, not just their bodies but their minds. She had seen trauma before in war zones on Earth. She knew what it looked like. A young girl, maybe 8 years old in human terms, held his hand. Will the bad ones come back? No, said firmly. They will never hurt you again, I promise. But there are so many of them, only 7 of you. Smiled, 7 of us is enough. Outside the medical center was dealing with a different problem. The captured pirates expected to be treated as prisoners of war. They wanted to be held until they could be exchanged or tried by council courts. The pirate commander was demanding to speak to council representatives. You cannot keep me here, said. I have rights. Under galactic law, prisoners must be treated humanely. You want to discuss rights, said quietly. What rights did you give the children? His expression changed. He had not expected the human to care about that. Most species took prisoners because it was civilized, not because they cared about justice. But there was something dangerous in his eyes, something that made realize he had made a terrible mistake. Was in the command center going through the pirates' computer systems. What she found made her feel sick. Videos of the executions, records of how much the pirates had stolen, messages to other pirate groups bragging about their work. They had not just been enslaved, they had been tortured for entertainment. She saved all the data to a secure drive. Then she showed it too. He watched in silence. His face showed no emotion, but knew him well enough to see the anger burning underneath. When the videos ended, he stood up. Call the elder, I need to speak with him. The elder came to the command center. He was old, his body frail even by standards. He had lost 2 children to the pirates, a daughter beaten to death for working too slowly, a son executed as an example to others. Showed him the evidence, every crime documented, every atrocity recorded, watched with tears streaming down his face. Why do you show me this? He asked when it was over. Because justice belongs to the victims, said. The council wants to take these pirates to trial, years of legal proceedings, maybe prison sentences, maybe release on diplomatic grounds. I am giving you a choice. What choice? Your colony, your justice, said. What do you demand? Stared at him. They were a philosophical people. They believed in peace, in redemption, in the value of all life. Violence was against everything their culture stood for. But as he thought about his dead children, about the other victims, he felt something he had never felt before. Rage. I want them to pay, he said quietly. Not in a courtroom, not with words. I want them to feel what we felt. Are you certain? Asked. Once this decision is made, you cannot take it back. I am certain, said. The council transmission came through immediately. Appeared on every screen, his face filled with horror. You cannot do this. This violates every civilized law. The pirates must be tried by council courts. Looked directly at the camera. Where were your civilized laws when they were being tortured? Where was the council when children were being executed? You had weeks to respond. You did nothing. We were preparing a diplomatic solution. Your diplomatic solution got 43 people killed, said from her station. She looked disgusted. Forgive us for not waiting for 43 more. Stepped into view of the camera. She was covered in blood from treating patients, her face exhausted but furious. I have a 7-year-old patient with broken bones that healed wrong because the pirates would not let her rest. I have patients with malnutrition so severe they might not survive. You want to lecture us about civilized behavior. She walked away, back to her patients. The council transmission continued, but no one on the righteous fury was listening anymore. The next day, the captured pirates were brought to the main square, the same square where they had executed civilians. The survivors gathered to watch, tried to appear brave, but his fear was obvious. This is murder, he said too. The galaxy will condemn you. The galaxy ignored you until you became our problem, said. They can condemn us if they want. We will not lose sleep over it. The elder stood before the pirates, 12 of them the worst of the group, the ones who had personally killed civilians, the ones who had tortured for fun, the ones who had no excuse. You came to our world, said, his voice shaking with emotion. We welcomed you. We offered you trade. You responded with violence. You killed our families. You destroyed our peace. You showed us no mercy. He paused, gathering his strength. Now we will show you the same. The executions were not quick. They were not experienced in violence, but they learned fast. The pirates who had been so brave when attacking the helpless were not brave when facing their victims. They begged. They cried. They offered information, money, anything to survive. The humans did not participate. They stood at a distance, making sure nothing interrupted. This was not their justice to deliver. They were simply making sure it could be delivered. When it was over, the square was silent. They stood together, looking at what they had done. Some were crying. Some looked shocked. Some looked satisfied. They had crossed a line their species had never crossed before. Turn 2, we are not what we were. No, agreed. But you are alive. Sometimes survival requires change. The council demanded an emergency session. Representatives from across the galaxy called for Earth to be sanctioned, for the humans to be arrested as war criminals. Filed formal charges against and his entire crew. But then the messages started coming, not from governments but from the people. A mining colony that had lost workers to raiders sent a petition. We request human protection. A farming world attacked by pirates 3 times in 2 years asked, can Earth help us? A cargo station that had paid protection money for decades simply said, please. Within a week, 17 worlds had formally requested human defense forces. The council could not authorize it. It violated protocols. It went against procedure. But they also could not protect these worlds themselves. Their peacekeeping forces were stretched too thin, too scared, too restrained by rules that their enemies ignored. stood on Theta 7 watching the rebuild. They were different now, still gentle, still philosophical, but no longer victims. They had learned that peace was not weakness, but it also was not enough by itself. Sometimes, to protect peace, you needed to be willing to fight. And one were helping them repair the damaged mining equipment, was setting up security systems, was teaching basic self-defense, modified for physiology. Sung was training them how to maintain weapons, just in case. Was still in the medical center, making sure everyone received proper care. She had saved 32 lives in the past week. She had also taken 7. She did not regret either number. A child brought her a flower, one of the few growing things on the harsh mining world. "Thank you," the child said simply. Took the flower carefully. "You are welcome." That evening received a message from Earth Command. It was short and direct. "Well done. Prepare for next assignment. More colonies are requesting assistance." The Council was still debating sanctions. Earth was already deploying more ships. The age of gentle peacekeeping was ending. They had shown the galaxy a different way. The Emergency Council session was the largest in galactic history. Every member species sent representatives. Every screen in every sector of civilized space showed the proceedings. The question being debated was simple: what to do about humanity? Ambassador On stood at the central podium presenting his case. Behind him, holographic displays showed the aftermath of Theta 7, bodies, destruction, violence on a scale most Council species could not comprehend. The humans were invited to help, On said, his voice carrying across the chamber. They were given specific instructions: minimal force, proportional response, negotiation first. They ignored everything. They acted like savages, like the very pirates they were sent to stop. A representative stood up. They saved 200 lives. They eliminated a threat that the Council ignored for weeks. How is that savage? They executed prisoners, On said. They allowed them to commit acts of revenge. This is not justice. This is barbarism. Is it? Another voice called out. A delegate from Torin 3, a mining world that had lost half its population to raiders 5 years ago. When my world called for help, the Council sent negotiators. The raiders killed them and demanded more ransom. When we called again, the Council sent peacekeepers who took 3 months to arrive. By then, everyone was dead. Where was justice then? The chamber erupted in arguments. Half the delegates supported sanctions against Earth. The other half remained quiet, but their silence spoke volumes. They were the representatives of worlds that had suffered, worlds that had watched the Council fail to protect them, worlds that were now looking at humanity with hope instead of fear. On Earth, the response was simple. Ambassador Myra stood before the cameras in Geneva and delivered a statement that would be quoted for generations. "The Council asked us for help," she said calmly. "We provided it. If they are unhappy with our methods, they should not have called. We do not apologize for protecting the innocent. We do not apologize for eliminating threats. We do what is necessary always." She paused, letting her words sink in. "From this day forward, any world that requests Earth's protection will receive it. We will not ask the Council's permission. We will not follow rules designed to make violence comfortable for observers. We will do what we have always done: protect those who cannot protect themselves." The statement sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Earth was openly defying the Council. More than that, they were offering an alternative. Worlds that felt abandoned by the Council now had somewhere else to turn. On Theta 7 and his crew were unaware of the political chaos they had caused. They were focused on helping the rebuild, was teaching them how to reinforce buildings against attack. One was showing them basic security measures, had set up a network of sensors that would detect any approaching ships. Was in the command center when the first new message arrived. "Commander, we have 17 formal requests for human protection. Mining colonies, farming worlds, transport hubs, all of them have suffered pirate attacks. All of them say the council could not help them. Read through the requests. Each one told the same story: raids, losses, calls for help that went unanswered or were answered too late. The council meant well, but meaning well did not stop bullets or save lives. Forward the requests to Earth Command, he said. We cannot help everyone, but we can help some. Was in the settlement, talking with who were still processing what had happened. Many of them were conflicted. They had participated in violence, something their culture said was wrong. But they had also survived, and they had made sure the pirates could never hurt anyone else. An older woman approached her. Are we bad now for what we did? Sat down beside her. You did what you needed to do to survive. There is no shame in that. But we killed, we became like them. No, said firmly. They killed for profit and entertainment. You acted in justice and self-defense. Those are not the same thing. Anyone who says they are has never been a victim. The woman was quiet for a long time. Then she nodded slowly. Thank you for showing us we could fight back. We did not know we could. Everyone can fight back, said. Some species are just taught they should not. Sometimes that teaching helps maintain peace. Sometimes it just makes you easy prey. 6 days after the battle, a council fleet arrived at Theta 7. 6 warships, led by Admiral Hen, a military officer known for following regulations perfectly. His ships surrounded the planet, weapons armed but not locked. He sent a message to the righteous Fury. Commander, you and your crew are ordered to surrender for war crimes. You will be transported to Council space for trial. Comply immediately. Stood on the surface in the main square where they had built a monument. It was a simple structure, carved from local stone. On it were the names of those killed by the pirates. At the base, an inscription. They answered our call not with kindness but with justice. He activated his communicator. Admiral, we are not leaving. You have no choice, Hen said. I have 6 warships. You have 1 small corvette. This is not a fight you can win. Perhaps, said, but you will have to come down here to arrest us, and we are standing in the middle of a settlement. Are you prepared to bombard civilians to reach us? There was silence on the other end. Hen was a by-the-book officer. He would not fire on civilians. That was against every rule he followed. I can wait, the admiral said. You cannot stay down there forever. True, agreed. But before you wait too long, you should check your messages. Hen frowned and switched to his communication channels. What he saw made his blood run cold. 17 worlds had sent messages to his government. They were threatening to break trade agreements unless the charges against the humans were dropped. Some were threatening to leave the council entirely. His government's response was clear. Stand down. This was not a military decision anymore. It was political, and the politicians had decided that keeping trade relationships was more important than prosecuting the humans. You planned this, Hen said, anger in his voice. We saved people who needed saving, said. They are grateful. If that causes you political problems, that is not our concern. The council fleet left the next day. Hen filed a protest with the council, but everyone knew it would go nowhere. The balance of power had shifted. The council could no longer enforce its rules against Earth because too many worlds wanted human protection. On sat in his office, watching the reports come in. More worlds were requesting human defenders. More colonies were praising Earth's methods. The council was losing control, and it was happening faster than anyone had predicted. They are going to change everything, his assistant said quietly. I know, On said. He felt tired, old. He had spent his life building a civilized galaxy, one where problems were solved with words instead of weapons. Now the humans were showing everyone that sometimes weapons worked better. What do? We adapt, On said, or we become irrelevant. On Earth, ships were being prepared for deployment. 3 more corvettes, each with a crew trained in the same methods as Team. They would go to the worlds that had requested help. They would protect the vulnerable. They would eliminate the threats. And they would do it without apology. Ambassador Myra received a private message from a council member who wished to remain anonymous. "You are dividing the galaxy," the message said. "You are creating chaos where there was order." She replied simply, "You created order that could not protect its people. We are providing protection that does not require order. If that is chaos, then the galaxy needs more chaos." On Theta 7, they celebrated their first festival since before the pirate attack. Music played. Food was shared. Children laughed, something many of them had not done in months. The humans were honored guests, though they stayed mostly to the side, letting them enjoy their moment. Approached as the sun was setting, "You are leaving soon." "Tomorrow," confirmed. "Another colony needs help." "We will miss you. You changed us." "You changed yourselves," said. "We just gave you the opportunity." The elder smiled. "Perhaps, but without you we would all be dead. Some changes are worth the cost." That night stood outside the settlement looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, pirates and slavers were watching what had happened. Some would be scared. Some would be angry. Some would want revenge. Let them come, he thought. The humans were ready. The galaxy was learning a new rule. Did not play by the old rules. And the old rules had not been working anyway. The council chamber was different now. The seats were the same, the holographic displays unchanged, but the atmosphere had shifted. When Ambassador Myra entered to give Earth's formal statement, representatives who would have protested weeks ago now sat silent. Myra walked to the central podium with calm confidence. She wore the simple uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, no decorations or displays of power. She did not need them. Everyone knew what humanity had done. "Earth will not apologize," she began. Her words were translated into 40 languages simultaneously, broadcast across the galaxy. "You contacted the most violent world in known space and asked us to solve your violence problem. Then you were shocked when we used violence to do it." On started to speak, but Myra continued. "We are survivors from a planet that spent millions of years trying to kill us. We evolved alongside predators that could tear us apart. We survived diseases that would exterminate most species. We learned to work together because alone we died. That is not our fault. That is your advantage." She moved around the podium, making eye contact with different representatives. "You want us to fight your battles with one hand tied behind our backs. You want us to follow rules that your enemies ignore. You want us to be gentle with those who are not gentle with your people. We refuse. When Earth intervenes, we will use full force. When we protect someone, we will eliminate the threat completely. If that makes you uncomfortable, if that violates your civilized sensibilities, then do not call us. Protect your own worlds. Solve your own problems. We will not force our help on anyone." A delegate stood up, her voice shaking with emotion. "You are offering violence as a solution to violence. This only creates more violence." Myra looked at her directly. "Where is your colony on 4? Oh, that is right. Pirates destroyed it 3 years ago while the council debated the proper diplomatic response. All 7,000 colonists dead. Tell me, did your peaceful approach prevent violence?" The chamber fell silent. The delegate sat down, unable to respond. "Earth is offering a choice," Myra said. "Worlds can continue relying on the Council's protection, or they can request ours. We will not judge either decision. But make no mistake, when we come to win. Completely, permanently, without hesitation." She returned to her seat. The Council tried to vote on sanctions, on restrictions, on rules to limit Earth's actions. The vote failed. Too many worlds abstained. Too many secretly wanted the option of calling humanity when the Council failed them. The Protected Worlds Coalition was formed that day. 17 worlds initially, all of them requesting human defense consultants. Earth sent teams, not armies. Small groups of advisors who taught local forces how to fight, how to prepare, how to protect themselves. But everyone knew the real message. Attack these worlds and humanity will respond. 3 months after Theta 7, Commander was preparing for another mission. A farming colony under siege. Raiders demanding food and supplies. Council negotiators had been trying to talk to them for 2 weeks while colonists starved. His crew was different now. The Righteous Fury had been upgraded with better weapons and shields, had new tactical software, had access to more powerful explosives. One and Sung had trained with new equipment. His medical bay was fully stocked. Intelligence systems could crack most known encryption. They were not just a rescue team anymore. They were a message written in fire and steel. The vulnerable had protectors now. Before they departed, received a personal message from on Theta 7. The colony was thriving. They had increased their mining output. They had built proper defenses. Most importantly, they had not been attacked again. Word had spread. Theta 7 was protected by humans. Only a fool would try. "We remember what you taught us," wrote. "Peace is precious, but survival comes first. Thank you for reminding us that we have the right to defend ourselves." Save the message. It reminded him why they did this work. The new mission went exactly as expected. The raiders saw the human ship approaching and tried to flee. Targeting systems were faster. One warning shot across their bow, close enough to scare them. Then's voice over the comm, "Release the colonists. Surrender now. This is your only chance." The raiders had heard the stories from Theta 7. They knew what happened to pirates who fought humans. They surrendered immediately. No one died. No one was hurt. The threat was removed completely and word spread further. Do not attack worlds protected by Earth. But not all groups listened. The Red Blade Cartel was one of the largest pirate organizations in the sector. They had thousands of members and controlled dozens of bases. They saw humanity's actions as a threat to their entire way of life. Their leader, a being known only as, sent a message to Earth. "You think you can police the galaxy? You are one species against thousands. Leave our operations alone, or we will make you regret it." Earth's response was delivered by Ambassador Myra in a public broadcast. "Come and try." 6 weeks later, the Red Blade Cartel attacked a human-protected mining colony. They sent their best fighters, their strongest ships, their most brutal tactics. They planned to make an example, to show the galaxy that humanity could not protect everyone. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, the colony was untouched. The Red Blade Cartel had lost 12 ships, 300 fighters, and most importantly, their reputation. The surviving pirates spread the story. Humans fought like demons, like the universe itself had armed them with rage. Went silent after that. The Red Blade Cartel fractured, different groups fleeing to different sectors. Piracy in the region dropped by 60% in 3 months, not because of council laws or diplomatic pressure, but because criminals had learned a simple lesson. Some targets were not worth the cost. A year after Theta 7, the Protected Worlds Coalition had grown to 43 members. The Council had grudgingly accepted humanity's role, though they still filed regular protests about methods and procedures. Earth ignored them politely and continued operations. Commander was promoted to captain and given command of a larger ship, the Unyielding. His old crew stayed with him, now training new teams in the methods that had proven effective. They became instructors, teaching the next generation of human defenders. But still took missions, still answered SOS calls, still showed the galaxy what it meant to ask for help. On one such mission, a delegate from a newly attacked colony asked him a question that many had asked before. "How do you decide who to help? How do you choose?" His answer was simple. "We help those who ask and cannot help themselves. We do not judge their species, their politics, their religion. If they are victims and they want help, we come." "But you are so violent, so brutal in your methods." "Yes," said, "because the predators are violent and brutal. You cannot fight wolves with philosophy. You cannot negotiate with those who see weakness as opportunity. We learned that on Earth, the hard way, over millions of years. The delegate was quiet, then asked, "Do you enjoy it, the violence?" Looked at him for a long moment. No one on my crew enjoys violence, but we accept it as necessary. That is the difference between us and the criminals we fight. They enjoy causing pain. We endure causing it to prevent greater pain. 6 months later, on the anniversary of Theta 7, returned to the colony with his crew. They had built a memorial garden, a place of peace and reflection. At its center stood a statue, a human in powered armor, holding out a hand to help a fallen child. The inscription read, "They answered our SOS not with kindness but with justice, and justice saved us." Now leading a council of colony elders greeted them warmly. "You have changed the galaxy, Commander. 43 worlds now stand under human protection. Piracy has decreased. Suffering has lessened. The Council speaks of you with fear, but the people speak of you with gratitude." "We did what was needed," said, "nothing more." "That is exactly enough," replied. He gestured to the thriving colony around them. "Look at what we have become. We still value peace, but we are no longer helpless. We have learned from you, sometimes protecting peace requires being willing to fight for it." That evening, the crew of the Unyielding gathered in the memorial garden. They had been part of something larger than themselves. They had changed how the galaxy viewed conflict and protection. They had shown that strength used in defense of the weak was not barbarism, but justice. Looked at the statue and smiled. "Think they got my good side?" "You do not have a good side," one said. "You are covered in scars and always frowning." "That is my good side," said. They laughed, the sound strange in the peaceful garden, but appropriate too. They were warriors who fought so others could live in peace. Their laughter was earned. Received a new transmission on her. "Commander, we have 3 more SOS calls, 2 mining colonies and a medical station, all under attack." Looked at his crew. They were tired. They had fought dozens of battles. They had seen things that would give most species nightmares, but they were ready. They were always ready. "Set course for the nearest crisis," he said. "Let's go to work." The Unyielding lifted off from Theta 7, its engines lighting the night sky. Below, they watched it go, knowing they were safe. Above, pirates and slavers watched it go, knowing they were not. The galaxy had learned its lesson. They had answered the call for help. They had not come with kindness or gentle methods. They had come with the one thing that actually stopped predators, greater predators. And the age of easy victims was ending. Somewhere in deep space, a distress call went out. Pirates had seized a transport ship. Hostages were in danger. The Council was preparing diplomatic responses, but before they could act, a human ship changed course toward the crisis. On the bridge of the Unyielding read the SOS. Another group of victims calling for help. Another group of criminals about to learn why calling was the galaxy's best mistake. "Time to intercept?" he asked. 6 hours, replied. "Good," said. He opened a channel to the pirate ship. They would get their one warning, their one chance. And when they refused, as they always did, humanity would give them what Earth had learned to give those who hurt the innocent. Not kindness, not mercy, not forgiveness. Justice. And in the cold mathematics of survival, justice was what worked.